So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the workshop, Green Companies for Green Regions and Green Cities. This event is organised in the framework of the Horizon 2020 project XPRESS. My name is Owen. I'm a project officer at EURADA here in Brussels. I will be moderating this event today, so you'll see my face pop up now and then to thank the speakers, to introduce new speakers, and to remind those speakers to turn on their microphones. So just briefly going over the agenda of the event today. At the beginning, we'll be joined by some colleagues of ours who will tell us about what EURADA is, about the XPRESS project. After that, they'll be followed by the speakers of the event who will make presentations. There will be the option of asking questions to the speakers. So if you have any questions to ask to people, please put those into the questions tab in GoToWebinar. If you can't find that, you may also be able to put it into the chat section if you can access that, but try to find the questions section. And toward the end, there will be an open discussion between the speakers. Near the beginning, I forgot to mention, we will also have a section where we ask you questions about your views on the topic. So without spending any more time, allow me to introduce you to my colleague, Giacomo Frisanco from EURADA.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Owen. So before starting this webinar on green companies for green regions and green cities and the role of green public procurement, I would like to briefly introduce you EURADA as an hosting organization of this online webinar. So EURADA is the European Association of the Development Agency. It was founded in 1992 and brings together professionals working on economic development in Europe. Through our large network of almost, let's say, 70 members across 22 countries of European Union and beyond, because, for example, we have associated members coming from non-EU countries such Bosnia, Serbia, and Turkey, we connect our members with other development agencies, business partners, and the European institution. Let's say that by bringing together highly skilled professionals who answer the specific needs of regional and local authorities, EURADA is playing a crucial role in Europe's economic growth and job creation. For the Regional Development Agency, EURADA, indeed so, is an international well-established facilities that allows them to interact with other development agencies, for example, with her learning review, and offer as well to them opportunities to interact with the European institutions. So EURADA can be considered as a reference point for regional policies at European level and a network where an exchange of good practices between members and external realities is taking place. EURADA is also working in several European projects, Interreg Europe, Erasmus+, COSME, and so on. But we are also a member of this Horizon 2020 project called XPRESS. So now I would like to give the floor to Paola Zerilli, the scientific project coordinator of the XPRESS project.
Hello, my name is Paola Zerilli. I am the scientific coordinator of this project. I am an academic from the economics department at University of York in England. And I started this project together with my partners. We have been already working on it for over 1 year, actually, because we put together the ideas. And the main idea is to help the enterprises, small and medium enterprises, to collaborate with local authorities in order to implement renewable sources of energy in public buildings and public transportation. Okay, just a second that I will Giacomo, sorry, can you help me with sharing the screen? I think that
you have already.
You can see my screen already. Okay, very good.
No, we cannot see your screen, but you have the power as a speaker.
Okay, just a second. Which button? Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I wanted to show you our portal here because it's XPRESS Horizon H 2020.eu. After this presentation, we'll send you all the details if you don't have them yet. And here you can see more details about our project and all the countries that are involved. It's 10 countries: UK, Italy, Norway, Germany, Sweden, Spain, Denmark, Slovakia, Portugal, and Belgium, of course. But we would like to actually expand this project to the broader Europe, obviously, to all the other countries. Just very quickly, I wanted to show you some features that are already available on our portal. For example, here you can access all the contracts, the past tender contracts that are that come directly from actually the European platform here. If you can see, the problem with the European platform is that it's very complete, but obviously it contains all the information about any public procurement. Instead, here in our portal, we have gone through all the contracts and we have selected the contracts that are specifically in the area of renewable sources of energy. Sorry, I keep switching screen. Sorry, here I did for the past tenders. So you find the past tenders from online resources on our portal, and then you choose past REST tenders. I already selected Belgium as a country, and I got many hits. So if you can check the details in here directly. Also, we have selected, so this was for the contracts that have been already awarded. We have also done the selection for the new, the upcoming contracts, so the openings that are available from the European portal. So again, this is a selection of contracts on the basis of that are mainly focus on renewable sources of energy. Obviously, you can do also a keyword search here through our search engine. The last feature that I wanted to show you is this one. Is the basic, we have created a basic tool for searching, for example, for enterprises working in the area of renewable sources of energy technologies. And again, I've done the selection in here for Belgium, and I got a number of companies that have been already collaborating with authorities, public procurers in Belgium. Okay, so if you watch this space the next month or so, you will be able to see a more advanced version of this tool, where, for example, you can public authorities will be able to sorry, I'll stop sharing the screen. We'll be able to declare, for example, what are their plans for the next future. They want to invest a certain amount of money to install renewable sources of energy in a public building, and they will be able to publicize this interest on our portal. And by the same token, small and medium enterprises, they will be able to publicize the type of services and technologies that they are offering. So we'll create a kind of a market within the market, because obviously it is important. There are so many barriers. We'll see more details about these barriers during the day, during the workshop. There are so many barriers in the collaboration between the two sides that we would really like to help both sides in collaborating and also achieving this goal of implementing green sources of energy. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much, Giacomo. And so now probably it's going to be Miriam from APRE. Hello?
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And yeah, first of all, let me share the screen, which I'm already doing. Okay. So I would kindly ask, in the meanwhile, the participants to connect to www.menti.com and use the code 16643. While you are connecting, let me introduce myself. I'm Miriam De Angelis from APRE. We are also involved in the XPRESS project, of course, and we are based in Rome. So as for the first question, let's say, that we are asking you, now that you are supposed to be connected, is about the profile of your organization. Can you please tell the kind of organization that you are, whether you are an SME, another private stakeholder, a public procurer, or another public actor? Sorry, I'm just trying to. Okay, I see that we have few results. Okay, so in principle, we have 5 participants. 2 of them are public actors, and then the other are spread around the several categories. Now, 2 SMEs.
Let's wait a bit longer, perhaps, Miriam. Perhaps let's wait 1 more minute, just in case there's someone else.
Yes.
Only 1 minute. The reason why we are asking these questions is mainly to understand what is the situation in this small sample participating to the workshop, so that we can use this information for the discussion later on today. I think that's it, Miriam. You can go ahead with the second question. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go ahead with the second question. And yes, of course, Paola, you are right. This is meant to be food for thought for further discussions, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, for a further analysis right after the event, in order to develop reports within the project, and also to provide subsequent information regarding green public procurement later on in the project. This second question is about the involvement of your institution in green public procurement. I see we have already some answers coming, but still very few. I again encourage you to participate. You can connect with your cell phone, I mean with your smartphone, yes. If you're using your computer. It doesn't come, let's say, easy for you to both follow the webinar and answering the question. So if you have a smartphone, you can use it, it would be easier. And indeed, I see that we have at least another answer compared with the first question, and definitely a majority of people who has plans to be involved in the next 5 years in green public procurement. Let me give you just a few seconds more to answer.
Because also the answers
yes,
are completely anonymous, so you guys, you know, feel free to. It's not that we can see who answered what, and also we are not asking any sensitive information in any case. So these are very general questions, just just for leading the discussion later on.
Yes, yes. So let's go on. We have kind of an equal situation between those who have already been involved and those who have plans to be involved in the near future in green public procurement. So going on. The next question is, what are the main obstacles to either investment or implementation of technologies in renewable energy sources? Whether it's a lack of information about these kind of technologies, the lack of skilled labor, legal or administrative restrictions and bottlenecks, or industry standards or norms. I see that the player is mainly between the lack of information about the technologies and the lack of skilled labor. But yeah, I see. Okay, so the answers are changing, the results are changing. Okay, so indeed, as I believe the last result, we have both lack of information about technologies and legal and administrative bottlenecks and restrictions and procedures, difficult procedures as the main obstacles to the investment and implementation of technologies in renewable energy. But more or less all the suggestions, all the options are you know, are considered indeed issues, open issues in this field. Next question is, what are the main obstacles to either investment or implementation in renewable energy sources? Whether it's a financial risk, whether it's innovation costs, or the size of the contracts, whether they are too big or small, and dominant market positions of incumbent firms.
We want to hear from you guys, because it's from we can assess and we can help solving problems only if the parties that are involved tell us what is the situation. That's why we are asking these questions, and we'll have also a more extensive set of questions to collect information on our portal in the next few weeks. But again, the reason why we are asking these questions is just because we want to help. There is no other reason. Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, we have a better participation compared with the other questions, and we have a double obstacle in the innovation costs and the market positions of incumbent firms that are obstacles to these investments and implementation of technologies in the renewable energy sources. Going on, I believe this is the last or one of the last questions. What is the most problematic phase in the interaction between innovative SMEs and public authorities? Whether it's the pre-phase, meaning before the tender, or during the bidding process, or after the award of the contract. So it seems quite obvious, considering the answers, that the problems lies in the phase before the tender, so the phase of the market engagement.
And this is in line with what we have observed in the other countries, in the all partner countries where we run the workshops. This is the last one of the series.
Okay. So I see that the answers are also increasing, just confirming that the pre-phase, the phase before the tender, is definitely the most problematic. So this was as suggested by, there is another question.
Yeah, the last one.
What is the scope of the green public procurement in your opinion?
Yeah, you can write a short sentence just to express what you think.
And your answers will appear automatically on the screen.
It is it's an open question on purpose, because it's nice to hear from people their ideas.
Low carbon purchasing, yes, they are starting coming, helping the transition to the green sources of energy. Greener energy, of course. Public authorities seek to buy goods or services with a reduced environmental impact. Sustainable mobility, being also urban mobility one of the hot topics of the moment, and also considering that the EU Green Deal is now dictating the strategy and the approach also by the cities, the public authorities, that the public authorities should embrace. Helping renewable providers to grow by growing their customer base. Sure.
But also sometimes green public procurement could be used in order to support innovations in these technologies, because the market is and the technologies are going forward, but it is important also to find a valid, solid finance source for this type of innovations. But sometimes the barriers in the collaboration between innovative enterprises and public procurers are such that it is difficult that actually this innovation can be supported. So, but we would like to do something in this sense. Okay, very good. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I believe that these are all the answers. Paola, do you want to further comment, or
no,
Giacomo?
Yeah, I suggest to go forward with the workshop, and then we'll discuss some more ideas after the presentation during the roundtable discussion. So it's
okay, great. So I will. Yeah. Sorry, Paola.
No problem.
Okay. So shall
So
we
in any case, I will interrupt the screen sharing, and I will leave the floor to the next speaker. Thank you very much for answering.
Thank you, guys.
So joining us now will be Jovana Gojkovic, who is a senior officer and working on external relations at Acqua Pubblica Europea. So the stage is yours, Jovana.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all of you, and thank you to EURADA for this invitation, and to Paola and your colleagues for presenting the XPRESS project, which was really interesting to hear about. What I will present now is a little bit different, but I think there's some interesting points that we can share. So I'll just show you my screen now in just a second. Let's see. It's not the right one. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Yes, so what I will talk to you about is the Smart Med project, which is financed under, let me see, okay. All right, I'm managing. Under the Horizon 2020 program. Just a few words about who I am. My name is Jovana. I work for Acqua Pubblica Europea, which is the European Association of Public Water Operators. We're Brussels-based, but our members are public water utilities who provide water and sanitation services to over 70 million people in Europe. And as I said, publicly owned, 66 of them covering 13 countries. And within our association, the Smart Med project was born to answer the Horizon 2020 call on ICT in 2016-2017 on pre-commercial procurement, with a view to support innovation and entrepreneurship, and a budget of about 4 million euros. The consortium, just to give you an overview, is composed of a buyers group, which are the procurers, and these buyers groups, so they are members of our association, and they are public utilities, and they're very diverse. So the lead procurer, who is also here with us on this webinar, is Viveracqua, which is a consortium of utilities in the Veneto region in the north of Italy. And then we have other members who are either bigger cities, as you can see in Brussels, in Paris or Budapest, medium cities like Liège in Belgium, but also more rural areas, as in the Badajoz region in Spain, or in the east of France in Alsace-Moselle. And why these people came together within the association is that they identified common challenges and they wanted to work on it together. And specifically, the topic was smart water metering. So not energy, but still related to sustainability and sustainable cities and sustainable regions. What is smart water metering? In essence, it relies on technology and communication to accurately measure, record, and transmit water consumption in real time. So you might have a smart water meter at home, or maybe not. And so the benefits of that is that it can contribute to identifying performance issues, improve customer service, and optimize supply and consumption. But we'll get into that a little bit later. And so what happened to the project? So these utilities who knew each other identified that they wanted to work together with the objective to drive the development of smart water metering, but systems that are new, cost-effective, efficient, interoperable, and based on open standards. Just to unpack that a little bit, essentially there was no solution on the market that fits needs concretely. And so these needs were identified, as I said, open standards for to be fully interoperable between different devices and software, to a system that's based on standard communication protocols, such as in Internet of Things, to guarantee communication in real time. It should be based on an energy source that should ensure operations for the duration of the meter life cycle. So, for example, auto production of energy. And it should be able to make decisions on its own based on the information received. This is something I will not get into detail, but it's just to give you an overview of the reference architecture for the project. So this was just a quick introduction on what we're talking about. But what may be interesting for you is to know this was based on pre-commercial procurement. What it is in the EU policy, innovation policy, there's a two-stage. The pre-commercial procurement, which aims to really steer the development of new solutions that answer concrete needs and based on a competitive approach. So this is the PCP. And then the second phase is the public procurement of innovation and of innovative solutions, which is the purchasing phase, let's say. So right now we are in the PCP. So what the project is a pre-commercial procurement. And the characteristics of that is that it's the procurement of the research and development for the new solution before products are put on the market, before solutions are put on the market. And it is competitive because it involves different suppliers through different stages. So these compete through 3 phases, starting with the research and design to really propose something new, but that's also feasible. Then prototyping to, well, make a prototype of this, the first prototype of this solution, and then real life, real situation field testing to test these new solutions in real conditions. Where we are now with our project, it's so it started in 2017. By the end of 2017, there were open market consultations, or OMCs, that were conducted in 4 different cities with dozens of companies participating, with the view to, one, make sure that the solutions were not available on the market and review what's the state of the art in terms of technology. Also identify some market risks for the industry, but also enable some networking between the industry and with the procurers, and enable the preliminary analysis of the context where these innovation would have to be introduced. This was 2017. Since then, there was a first call for tender that was launched in 2018, and the first 2 phases were unrolled through 2019 and the first half of 2020. And this is where we are now. The second phase has been finished, and we're supposed to move to field testing, but of course, due to the global situation, this is a bit delayed, and it should take place at the end of 2020. And there should be up to 3 solutions based on the assessment from the previous phases and the competition for the phase 3, the tender, so there should be up to 3 solutions that will be tested in 5 different sites, which have very different characteristics and are all areas where the members of the consortium operate. So again, make the test in real conditions and make sure that the solutions are good. Now, just based on that, a little bit of feedback that we've received on the project. The first element is why the PCP procedure. There are a set of benefits for the procurers, but also for the companies. That mainly, it really introduces a change on the market. So it really helps to work towards a solution that fits the concrete needs of the public sector, which purchases the research and development to work towards that. But also it allows to have a competitive approach, so have different different approaches that are tried, that are proposed, different solutions at different stages, and so at every stage an evaluation and an assessment of the solutions. And it allows, I think this was also mentioned in the previous presentation, but the risks and benefits of the research and development are then shared between the buyers and the suppliers through co-financing. So in general, this really helps, again, I'm sorry if I repeat myself a little bit, but it really helps to answer concrete real-life needs with the solutions through the pre-commercial procurement. And so some of the benefits that are expected out of these smart MET, also in terms of sustainability, because we are talking about sustainable solutions, it would help, it's expected to help with timely detection of leaks, which then gives the possibility to take immediate action to reduce losses of water. It also allows a better management of the network and elements such as preventing pollution when there are water reverse flows, when there are floods. But it also allows for better information. So information on effective consumption rather than expected consumption, which not only helps tailor billing and tariffs better for the users, but also by giving more information allows more awareness and therefore can support more sustainable water use. And then the meters themselves should be more sustainable through longer battery lifetimes or more easily recyclable meters. And finally, avoiding lock-in situations and adding the possibility to add further improvement moving forward. So these benefits affect both the environment, consumers, and as well, are very useful for the operators themselves. And we've produced, as part of the project, a very brief fact sheet, which is available on the project website, that addresses the concerns and the benefits for the users in the fact sheet. Yeah, if you're interested in more information, very happy to answer. But also there's information on the website and on our social media. And that's about it. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into pre-commercial procurement and a different sector, but still sustainable, more sustainability in procurement for the public sector. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Johanna. We've got one question that's just come in. Are you able to answer the question now?
Let's see, what's the question? Also, the lead partner is with us, so maybe he can help me as well.
Cool. Okay, so this one says, Mrs. Gojkovic, thank you for the excellent presentation. I thought that water smart meters already exist in the market. So what is the benefit of having them done as a PCP?
Excellent
pre-commercial procurement. And what are the technical innovations? How does it go beyond what was already on the market?
Excellent question indeed. I think the presentations will be shared, so you will have that in writing in any case. But yes, smart water meters do exist. But these 7 utilities who operate, again, in very different contexts, have identified a set of things that were not addressed by the market. And this is why the PCP has come into play. Because what was on the market was not addressing all of the needs as adequately as was requested. And so what I have mentioned in terms of innovation, I'll just pull it back. Here you go. And then try and share my screen. You can see that. Yes, so what was not available on the market are these elements as were identified. And again, Diego, please feel free to jump in anytime. But these full interoperability based on open standards, as well as, so these are all added. The standard communication protocols to guarantee the communication in real time. This aspect of the energy source being able to power the meter throughout the life cycle, and the decision making. In one of the objectives was, again, as to the full interoperability, was to be able to switch devices, softwares from different providers, for example, to avoid lock-in situations. These are the elements that were not fully available on the market and that were necessary for this project. I hope this answers.
That was good, thanks. Another one for you.
Okay.
Are there any other examples that you know of pre-commercial procurement that are taking place in Belgium or in other countries as well?
I would not be an expert on this, but would be very happy to go back to our, well, either if Diego knows, absolutely let us know, but he's in Italy. But we can, I can also go back to our technical partner who's specialized in the field, and get back to you if that's okay.
I can add something on this. Actually, pre-commercial procurement, there are not so many examples yet, but I know that the European Commission is investing a lot in this area and is trying to promote pre-commercial procurement. So is giving out grants at least once a year. And we are talking in the region of up to 15 million euros each grant, because wants to support sustainability, green sources of energy, energy efficiency in all across Europe. In the near future, we'll be putting on our portal more information about this, and some of the members of our partnership actually have been supporting the European Commission towards that. So hopefully we'll be able to share with you more news in the very near future. But if you watch our portal, and I'm sure your portal, Joanna, as well, of your project, you will be able to find more information very soon. But yeah, unfortunately, there are not so many examples of pre-commercial procurement just yet, because they are very risky for the participating authorities. But through the support of the European Commission, we will be able to see more and more examples in the near future.
Okay. Well, you're kind of leading on to the last question we've got in here, which is to what extent do you think, either of you perhaps, to what extent do you think that the public sector in Belgium is aware of pre-commercial procurement? Do you think most kind of public authorities know something about it, or is it still a mystery?
Well, probably, yeah. I was going to say probably, Paula, you know better about this than I do. But what we've actually, what has been reported from our side is that there is some knowledge from the public sector beyond Belgium and in the EU, where there's a bit more of a lack of understanding of the procedures from the industry. Actually, is what has been reported to us. There's not really full understanding of how it works, and how it's about research and development before not just coming up with a pre-made solution, but really developing something tailored. And so, yeah, this is from my perspective what I am aware. But Paola, please, if you know more about the.
My experience is not just in Belgium, but across Europe, particularly in the partner countries of our project. And there are lots of barriers in the collaboration between public procurers and innovative enterprises. That's the problem. Also, the procedure is very new, or the rules, they've been just recently set by the European Commission. So they really need, okay, so if you go to both public procurers and enterprises, and you propose something, they're up for it. But it's a lot of work at the very beginning to understand where to go, because often public procurers, they don't have that much knowledge of the possible technical solutions. And on the other side, the enterprises, they're put off by the bureaucratic barriers. But if there is someone who supports this at the beginning, these initial steps, then they are up for it and they are very, very interested. So, but yeah, it's still the procedures are not standardized enough, and that is why, as I was saying, the European Commission is investing in supporting this process and this collaboration. But it's not just for Belgium. The problem is everywhere. But it's like new things. You need to work, and you need to make mistakes and learn from them. And collaboration is the most important thing. What we are doing here, talking to each other, is the most important thing. But yeah, but we'll have more meetings next year and the following year to discuss more about this, because we try to support innovative public procurement. So PCP is one of the possible features anyway. So hopefully, without the COVID pandemic hovering on us, next year we'll be able to meet in person and discuss more details about this. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? This is Diego from Viveracqua.
Hi, Diego.
Ciao.
Ciao, Diego.
If you want, I can say a couple of words regarding the three last questions. I'm in Viveracqua, that is a consortium of public procurers, no? And we are working on this project because we have a vision, no? That is use the smart meter in all house in our region. So this is a vision like obviously with the enormous differences, but a vision like the vision of Steve Jobs, no? That is one PC on one desktop. We have the smart meter in each house, and in this moment it's very difficult because is true there are a lot of smart meter in the market, but they are not ready to the use for the big scale, because there is a specific technology. So the procurer need to have a link, a strong link with the vendor for a lot of years. That is not good for us and for our customer, no? But also there is no all the technical issue that we need. So we have to find out some new function in the smart meter, and this is a good way for us. The PCP allow us to push the research and development of the market on our needs. So this is a very good way to go ahead. The PCP instrument is new, so it's difficult to understand, it's difficult to to use, but from our side, so from the procurement side, when you study a lot the procedure, is not so difficult. So we need that the market well understand the PCP. And then regarding the other PCP that is going out in the world, I know that in Italy, for example, there are some in the water sector, there are some other idea to push the wastewater treatment by the innovation in the treatment by the PCP, but it's true what you were thinking and talking about is not so so used in the market in the procurement, the PCP. So this is the situation from our side.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Diego. Any final words from anyone before we move on to the next speaker?
Just to say that, yeah, just to watch our portals, our websites in the next few months, because we'll share with you all the information that we have about upcoming PCPs. As Diego was suggesting, in the aquameter field, there are some coming up, there are some ideas, but also I know that the European Commission is investing a lot in the area of renewable energy sources. It's trying to push PCPs in that area, and yeah, so any upcoming project in that area we'll share with you in our portal. Okay. So, and
Great.
also, if you guys need any support in participating in PCPs, we'll be up for it. If it is in the area of renewable energy sources that is within our project, we'll be glad to support you. Yeah.
Great. Thanks very much, Joanna Gojkovic and Diego.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Diego.
So I guess now, Paolo, we can move on to our next speaker, which is going to be Alexandra Mahfoud, who is a managing partner at the Fuel Matrix. So are you with us? We can see your screen. Can we hear you?
Wait.
Yes.
Should be fine now. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, great.
Yes, we can hear you. We cannot see you though.
Yeah, I have an issue with my webcam. Very
Okay,
strange.
fine.
But anyway, you can see my screen though, I guess.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So and that's the most important thing. Okay. So okay. So not quite close to the topic that we just discussed because we are not in the water sector. We are in the energy sector itself. And just to give you the context of our technology and how we created our business. So we observed in the market that we are going towards greener energy, greener mobility in general. And the technologies, the solutions that we have today, be it hydrogen or gas or electricity in general to let's say fuel your vehicles. This is really, we believe, the future. But this requires huge investments, and this takes time. We see when we talk to CPOs, especially in the public sector, that this is really an obstacle to, yes, let's say, manage that transition. And the bet that we did at Fuel Matrix was to, let's say, design a solution for the transition that would not require any investment and would be ready to go whatever vehicle you're using. And that's what we did. So I will go into the details in a second, but just to give you the context, I guess that every public CPO faces the same issue, being that we cannot afford what you see on the left side of that slide. We cannot pollute as we did before. Now we are conscious, we are aware of the damage that we are causing to both the environment and to ourselves, and we need to find solutions. And we have two different paths. We can invest a lot and develop new solutions, but we know that it's not for today, let's say it's for tomorrow. Or we can have a smooth path where we are generating gains for the environment, and we are helping the transition, and that's what we do. So we developed a solution that you can use with your vehicles, and you see planes, you see buses, trucks, boats, generators for heating, and you just keep the same fuel as you were using, but you add our solution at a very, very tiny dosage, 1 out of 10,000. So for 1 liter of our solution, you can treat 10,000 liters of, let's say, diesel or kerosene or gasoline, and you will cut your emissions by 80% for in the case of NOx emissions for diesel, or for CO2 or other harmful. And at the same time, you are increasing your fuel efficiency. I will explain why in a minute. But this means that you are decreasing your consumption. And by decreasing your consumption, you are making financial gains that you can reinvest in your transition. And that's what we have with some public authorities. I will talk about that also in a few minutes. But that's really how we are unique. We developed a technology that helps you tackle all these issues. So you are cutting, as I said, NOx, particulate matters, and as you know, these type of harmful emissions are causing air pollution, and as you may know, in the EU, bad air quality is leading to the death of more than 400 people every year. So that's a huge issue for all of us, not only on the environmental point of view, but also from the healthcare perspective. The fuel cost is also the main issue for procurement, and that's not something that adds value. We just want to buy your fuel at the lowest cost possible, and if you can generate fuel savings, that's something you should definitely do. And we mentioned earlier the EU Green Deal, and we can see that the intermediate target is to cut CO2 emissions in transportation by 15% by 2025, which is what we basically are doing with the fuel savings that you're generating. And so I will talk about that, but when you want to, let's say, migrate your fleet, if you're a public fleet manager, you have to invest. You have to pay for, let's say, new public buses with hydrogen or hybrid buses, and this is really heavy in terms of capital expenditure. And that's something that we can avoid you, so that you are not investing, you're not taking financial risk, but at the same time you're generating savings. And I will talk about a fleet manager of a public company here in Belgium, for which that's the scheme, generating savings right now to invest in the vehicles of tomorrow. So that's basically it for the let's say the business model, the impact that you can see. How does it work? Well, we are charging magnetically, ethanol and methanol molecules, and as I said, at a very small dosage, so that when you add those treated molecules to your fuel molecules will be slightly changed in their intermolecular forces. so that they attract the oxygen that you have in the air, and de facto they will be not linked to the nitrogen molecules. And therefore you are generating two good effects for you. On the one hand, you are burning more efficiently, and therefore you are consuming less fuel for the same quantity of energy that you have to generate. And on the other hand, you are preventing the formation of NOx gases because nitrogen doesn't burn as much with oxygen, and therefore generating less NOx gases. So this is the technical explanation. I think that what I explained is a fair summary, and that's not the idea to go into too much detail. If you have questions, I will be pleased to answer, obviously. But so what was the, let's say, the situation, and where do we go now? So we developed the technology in 2012 to 2015, and then we ran tests and we patented the technology. And now we have done the international PCT procedure, and we have our patents in Europe, in the US, in China, and other places in the world. And we are more and more getting now commercial relationships and customers in Europe and beyond. Briefly, to talk about the results, we tested it in a official and renowned worldwide laboratory, which is the Center for Environmental Research and Technology from the University of California, Riverside. For those who may not know, this university and that center are really recognized as the experts in terms of emissions, and that's why we chose them. And they conducted a test on which they saw 3 statistically significant results on, let's say, carbon monoxide, NOx gases, and CO2, and this led to significant cuts in emissions after only a few hours of use. So yeah, the underlying hypothesis is that the engine was not cleaned fully by the technology, which is a side effect, and therefore we already saw some good results coming out. And then we conducted another test on field in Europe, and that was in Belgium from the TEC. So for those who don't know, TEC is the public operator for buses and tramways and other public transportation, but mainly buses here in the southern part of Belgium. And there we conducted a test in real life conditions. So we tested it on 47 public buses. So we took a depot in Wallonia, and we just treated the fuel in their central filling tank, and they just had the same operational conditions over the whole testing, which lasted 6 months. We had different subsamples, which was interesting to test. Euro 4, 5, 6, which was the latest version during the test. And we worked in collaboration with the Kalinka Labs, which is the laboratory affiliated to the Free University of Brussels, and specialized in mobility and transportation topics. And their conclusion was that indeed we reached a 15% decrease in fuel consumption with no investment, just need to treat the fuel as it comes, and that's it. So in a very short period of time, we managed to demonstrate that, yes, you are not investing anything, you are generating savings from a financial perspective, and you are cutting emissions substantially. to give you an idea just on the emissions, because I may have been a bit quick on that. Cutting emissions to those degrees is comparable to replacing your whole fleet of buses, for example, by CNG or hybrid buses. So this is really comparable to migrating your whole fleet to these new technologies, except that you are not requiring any investment. So that's the perfect transition solution for a fleet owner. And the rationale for the TEC was, as I explained, to generate those savings and to reinvest them in replacing the fleet towards hybrids and then electric buses. So yeah, that was a university test. So that's why I wanted really to highlight it during this presentation. But we have many other tests. I cannot give the full references, unfortunately, because we signed a non-disclosure agreements with most of them. So I have to respect those agreements. But you can see that we tested it in the US, in Belgium, in Brazil, Luxembourg, on different vehicles, trucks, public buses, also jet engines. And we, for most of them, we measured consumption and we saw the decrease. We also tested it, there I can mention this one, on the Transunião company, which is the public company for buses in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And they quickly tested it on one public bus. And after 1 hour, they measured the opacity of particulate matters. And what they saw is a decrease of 70% in particulate matters. And the vehicle that got tested actually initially didn't pass their test to just be able to operate in Brazil in terms of emissions. And after using the fuel metrics, it was passing those tests. So this has huge implications, because for a CPO, you are considering, okay, when I buy a vehicle, how long can I keep it before I just have to sell it back because it's not compliant anymore in my market. And there you see that we are extending let's say the life cycle for the vehicles that they were buying. So this has huge implications in many regards. I also mentioned jet engines. So we are conducting more and more tests in jet engine. Obviously, it's more complicated because operating a bus is not as risky as operating a plane, obviously. So we are at the very beginning of the learning curve on how we can test it with airlines on, let's say, planes in real conditions. But the first testing that we have on ground are quite promising. You see here 11% decrease in fuel consumption, and even 13% in the most recent test in Luxembourg. The intuition is that as you have less oxygen with altitude, you should generate more savings because you're treating your fuel on ground. And so when you arrive there, the oxygen is already linked to your fuel. So that's basically it for the test. Here you have the timeline of how we developed the technology and the business. As I said, we launched the company in 2012. In 2015, we had the emissions report from the University of California, Riverside. And then by 2018, we were ready to start the first real life conditions testing and the first commercial relationships. In 2019, first sales in Europe, we were expanding in Brazil. And earlier this year, we started also in Africa because we had a first client who is buying old buses from Belgium. So take buses from the Lane, if you know the company here in Belgium. Once they are too old, here we are talking about Euro 2 buses, then they are exported and sold to Africa. And the bus doesn't stop emitting. So it's very important for us to track wherever we are using fossil fuels to make sure that we have let's say, the eco-friendliest use of fuel, be it in Europe or beyond. And so that was a very interesting case, because the people there are using buses to just come and get the employees to big plants. And so for us, it has a huge social impact, because people were breathing very harmful gases, which is not the case anymore thanks to this technology. And obviously they don't have the means to invest in new technologies like electric buses. So yes, that's just a map to show you how we are implemented. I think this is it for me. So yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I'm available for questions.
Okay, I have a couple of questions here for you now, which look quite similar, so they're very connected. One I'll try to shorten a bit because it's quite long, but it says, thank you for the presentation. The example from Wallonia is really interesting with good savings. And then I think the question is, how could other local authorities carry out tests? Are you willing to extend these tests to other fleets of buses in other places? Is that something you're planning?
So sorry, could you repeat? I didn't hear well. So the question is about how can we conduct other tests or additional confirmatory tests?
Yeah, so how could other local authorities carry out tests with your products? Would they have to contact you, or are you actively looking for further?
We do both. We do both. We learned the hard way that going to the public procurement is not an easy game. It takes time. It requires to be really patient. But yes, we are obviously open to running any additional tests with anyone. What we saw is that we can go faster with the private sector, obviously, but we are aiming at reaching the largest number of people, and that's through the public authorities. We do that through examples such as the TEC, and we wanted to replicate that with other public authorities in Belgium. But as I said, this takes a lot of time, and for the moment we are busy with subcontractors in the private sector operating for public entities like the Lane.
Okay, great.
So to answer the question, if anyone is interested in testing, we have protocols, we have equipment if necessary. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we can discuss it in more detail.
Thanks very much. That's a really fantastic idea. Really cool. Paula.
Thank you, Alexander. Very interesting. Yeah. And also will be interesting also to know more details about your experience with public procurement later on when we have the roundtable discussion. Thank you.
Sure, with pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So now I believe we can move on to our third speaker for today. Her name is Lise Debo. She is the project coordinator for the Interreg 2C's project SHIFT, and that's SHIFT spelled with 2 F's. If you want to, you can see it there. So we can see your screen, Lise. Can we hear you?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me and see me as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So
thank you.
It's all yours.
Thank you. I have to change just a little bit. Okay, good morning. I'm Lies Devos, and I will tell you more about the European Shift project in Bruges. It's something totally different from the former speakers, but I'm glad I'm here, and thanks to Owen and his colleagues to ask Bruges to tell more about this Shift project. I can't push it further. Okay, so the SHIFT project, SHIFT is an acronym. It's standing for Sustainable Heating Implementation of Fossil-Free Technologies. And the priority specific objective is to increase the adoption of low carbon technologies and applications in sectors that have the potential for a high reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. So the project is divided in 3 large parts, one more theoretical about the procurements, more technical part, and 2 more practical parts. You can see it on the screen. So the first one, the more technical part, is the development of sustainable heating strategies for the partner cities and a guidance for heating transition. This will involve different procurements, and we already sent 2 specifications for this. These sustainable heating strategies, we already made a draft of this, and you can see it in the link below. It's for all the partner cities, and we have different partner cities from Belgium, from the UK, and from France, as it is an Interact 2 Seas European project. So the sustainable heating strategy identifies scope, opportunities, actors, technology, resources, and barriers, and lay out a roadmap for the move to sustainable heating at city and district level. So the draft sustainable heating strategy, so you can find in the related link, and the base of this strategy is showed in the following slides in a chart. Another part of this development is to generate comprehensive guidance for local authorities, other ones than Bruges, for other cities, for other countries, and community groups on how to facilitate and accelerate the transition to sustainable heating of homes and community buildings. The guidance will present policy options, solutions, and practical tools to tackle key barriers blocking this transition right now. The second large part is to create a sustainable heating transition with local communities. So if we have this sustainable heating strategies, we have to make it happen as well. So, and therefore, co-creation, a co-creation process is very important, and this has to be included in the procurement, because if you don't have this process, it won't be able for citizens to make the transition to sustainable heating. So this co-creation process will be organized now in 4 city districts together with the schakelaar. In English, we say the switch. That's the energy agency of Bruges. So with existing district citizen committees and mobilizing young families, homeowners with renovation plans. So this co-creation process includes raising awareness of residents in these districts, gas-free renovation scans for free for 600 homes, facilitating of this community, these districts in this transition process, stimulating them, stimulating interaction in districts, and we want to show a citywide promotion as well of the pilots to mobilize other districts. And the output should be a CO2 reduction of 276 tons per year. And this reduction is achieved by 100 460 households investing in new sustainable heating installations, and 420 households reducing their energy use and CO2 emission from heating by taking measures to optimize their existing installations and reduce their heat consumption. For instance, insulation of their homes. A third large part is a demonstration of sustainable heating strategies, and this is a part where Bruges isn't involved in. Okay, this is the chart I talked about. The chart in the draft of sustainable heating strategies. It's developed by the different partners, project partners. So it's divided in 6 steps and in 3 levels. So the level for the first one, so it's the procurement part, it's more concentrated in this part if you don't include the co-creation process. So we developed 2 procurements in order to research the current situation in Bruges, the demand, reduction and supply potential, and to formulate strategy options and indicators. So we send out the specifications for 2 for 2 studies. First one is a feasibility study of district heating in the inner city of Bruges, and especially in 2 neighborhoods where there is a high density of city buildings, namely the City Republic, with a library, conservatory, cinema, and a museum quarter with a lot of museums, of which some of the buildings have to be built yet. And in the policy plan of Bruges, there was a promise to give a good example. So we really want to connect our city buildings to district heating, so a heating network. And you can see on the following slide where different sources are and where these 2 districts are, which we want to connect to district heating. And for one of the resources, we will need PCP, and so a procurement in advance. So the second specifications we sent out was for the development of a heat zoning plan for the whole territory of Bruges, and the development of a heat policy plan and a transition vision heat with a broad support from the policymakers and the citizens. This is a large challenge to motivate people to reduce their CO2 emission by insulating a dwelling and implement sustainable heating installations. I can show you the map. So this is Bruges, the egg of Bruges, and these are the 2 resources. This is the one of IVBO, our waste incinerator, and this is a CHP, which is built now. And the owner is a citizen cooperative, and for this one we will send out a PCP. So the CHP here gives the electricity to a company which is situated there, which produces enzymes, and the heat of this one we can use it for the heating network. So it's very important to integrate the process of co-creation as well as the procurement to create a broad support. In Bruges, the consultancy Kelvin Solutions will work together with O2. It's a communication company with a focus on sustainable communication. And this company has experience in both the private and the public sectors. And the heat zoning plan tells us more about what will be possible in the future. So which sustainable installations will be possible? Will it be a heat pump, for example, or a heating network? So Such a heat plan is it isn't a crystal ball, it's a map with opportunities for the future, and a transition vision heat explains how to reach this map in the future. And O2 will help us to develop a heat policy plan in 2 neighborhoods, and afterwards the plan can be applied to other districts and neighborhoods in Bruges and other cities or other countries. Like I already said, it's a large issue to create a broad support base within the policymakers as well as at district level. So the citizens have to be convinced to renovate the dwellings. So confidence is a very important factor in this issue, and that's the reason why the development of a heat policy plan together with stakeholders and citizens is very important. So we have to include this in the procurement. And therefore I will explain later the co-creation process very short in Bruges. So these specifications go hand in hand with the existence of 2 heat sources. So you can see them on the map. And IVBO, so that's a red star, the waste incinerator, it is already 35 years the owner and operator of a heating network of 20 kilometers, heating the largest hospital, some companies, a prison, and in September the first private homes. However, new buildings, it's easier because the gas pipelines weren't installed anymore at this location. So the heating network is a second or third generation network. The water has a temperature of 120 degrees. So this will be a big advantage to heat the inner city of Bruges, because we have a heritage and we can't insulate all city buildings, so it's easy to heat this building with a heating network with a temperature of 120 degrees. So the other one, the yellow star, can be put, the heat can be put in a network at a temperature of 90 degrees, which is high enough as well. So our goal is to connect not only the city buildings, but later on also private dwellings. But as you know, maybe it's not easy and it's not cheap to implement a district network as this. In our inner city, we have to deal with a lot of challenges as well, like the old protected buildings, little houses in our streets, hardly insulated city buildings and private dwellings. So we also have the status of World Heritage, so it won't be easy, but we are doing our best. The next slide, you can see the 2 neighborhoods where there is a very large density of city buildings. So we want to connect this in the near future. The second one is the co-creation process. And then the level people is very important in this sustainable heating strategy. So we believe that a neighbor can we started to organize together with the Switch, so our energy agency, brainstorm evenings in neighborhoods with active citizen committees. We taught in primary schools as well about climate, greenhouse gases, and reducing CO2 emissions. But before that, an infographic about the heating revolution in Bruges was already published in the City magazine, on Facebook and on the social media. So this is our infographic. So what the citizen can do to make their home more sustainable, and especially their heating systems, and to lower their heating demand. So these are some pictures from our brainstorm evenings and the primary schools. But we believe that a neighbor can inspire a higher level of confidence than a policymaker of the city who says what the citizens should do to make their dwelling more sustainable. So that's the reason we turned things back the right way up, to create more involvement and commitment of the citizen. So we used the customer journey about saving energy of hieropgewekt.nl. It's a Dutch company. So the co-creation process is situated in the inspiring, orientating and advice of part of the customer journey. So it's easy to convince pioneers and some citizen committees, but it's saving energy is a process that lasts for months, so a process with a lot of dropouts of the citizens. So it's easy to convince the pioneers and early followers. You can see here in the acceptation curve of the technological innovations. They will, so the pioneers, early followers, they will reduce their CO2 emission and therefore work together with other citizens. It may not be a problem, but the majority, however, is more difficult to convince. And the pioneers and early followers, we will contact these committees again. There will be a call in Bruges to be the first fossil-free neighborhood in the city. And they will form, these pioneers and early followers, they will form an early adopters team, and it's them who will organize activities. So the earlier way of working of the information evenings, brainstorm evenings, and so on, they generated some citizen committees already, which are very willing to step into the process of intensive co-creation, but the city will facilitate where possible. So these are just some possible activities we can do in Bruges, and this is what we will do, but it's the early adopters team then who will have to organize like a neighborhood safari or service in a neighborhood or energy parties. You can compare it with Tupperware parties if you know this. So it's more, shows more confidence. It's more confidence than just someone who is standing in front of a very large room who is saying what other people have to do. So this is my presentation. Something else, it's not only about procurement, but I'm glad to explain you something about the SHIFT project.
Thanks a lot, Lise. That was really cool.
Thank you.
I can see we already have a question now. So this one, well, so you mentioned that you've already done some neighborhood meetings and brainstorm evenings with local citizens. So this question says, how has the reaction so far been from local people to your project? From what you've heard from them, has it been more positive, or are there some doubts?
There are doubts for sure, but it's very important to, and that's what we will have to do. But now everybody is saying that it costs a lot, and the price of the gas price is too low if you compare it with the price of electricity. So yeah, we will. In Belgium, we will have to change something about the prices. So the tax shift is very important for us to implement these sustainable heating installations. But we have to emphasize more the comfort you have. There's no gas anymore. It's coming into your house. There's less CO2 emissions in the air. So the comfort and climate thing is much more important. So we have to emphasize this to the citizens than just the money, because transition to sustainable heating is much more than just the money. And I know it's, yeah, not everybody has the money to change this, but we are looking for other solutions for us, new subsidy systems in the city. We will help each other at different levels. So not only the local, it's very important to create a bottom-up process, but also regional, national, European level is very important. So if the people have doubts, it's more about the regional, the national, and the European level, because we can't change that. So this is the most difficult part, I think.
Okay, cool, thanks. I see there's one more here. This one about, you mentioned the 2 calls you've put out, the 2 procurements. How has your experience been with making these procurements to heating providers? Well, I don't know if they're not, I don't know if they're 2 heating providers, but that's what the question says. How has your experience?
Yeah, it's your consultancy, to the consultants. Yeah, it's, we also had 3 consultants who sent it to us. Their offer, it was Sweco, if you know this one, in Ganium. In Ganium will be the one who is doing now, has started now the feasibility study, and Kelvin Solutions. So they have very good ideas, but for the transition vision heat, it was Kelvin Solutions who implemented a very, very large part of co-creation process, and to help the city to start with that, to develop a transition vision, to make a plan for 1 or 2 neighborhoods. And then if this is finished, we can copy it. It won't be the same for all the districts in Bruges, but we can copy a little bit of this. And this was a very important thing we wanted to have in Bruges.
Okay. Right, I think that's it for questions. Do you have any final words to say, or would Paula like to pop up and say something?
Yeah, I just hope, I don't know if you can change a little bit about the sustainable heating, because if you look at Bruges, for example, almost half of the CO2 emission is due to the heating systems. So there are a lot of people who forget this, and it's always the traffic who is responsible, and this is a large part as well. But the heating systems, they have to become more sustainable, because if we don't do this, we can't reach the goal of the European Union.
Yes, of course, I totally agree. And through public procurement that is focused on renewable sources of energy, technologies and services, we are trying exactly to push that, because local authorities, they are the first ones who could change this, and who could do something about, for example, the district heating to update it and have as a source a green energy source. But we are getting there. It's just unfortunately it cannot happen overnight, but slowly we are getting there. And a project like ours that can make the difference.
Okay.
Oh, thanks very much, Steve. We really appreciated that. If all of the speakers stick with us now, we're going to move on to an open discussion section, which perhaps I can pass over to you, Paula. I'm pointing here as if maybe you're on a different direction on other people's screens, but Paula.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I would like to collect your opinions and start the discussion about, first of all, in your experience, what are the barriers that you have encountered in the collaboration between public authorities, public procurers, and enterprises when trying to carry forward public procurement? I would like to hear the opinions from both public procurers and enterprises, if possible. I mean, you can enter your answers in the chat, but it would be even nicer if you talk to us. We are not here to lecture anyone, but to collect opinions and experiences, and then we'll elaborate them further and try to help with the problems. Yeah. Owen, can people are people enabled to talk in the chat in this discussion? Can they activate the microphone?
Giacomo has the powers.
The participants cannot speak actually because they are participants, only the panelists, but we can promote them as a panelist if they would like to tell us something. Just put your hands up and I will give you the permission to speak. In the meanwhile, maybe our speakers can say something about.
Yeah.
So what was the question you asked a minute ago, Paola?
What are the barriers that, in their experience in public procurement, in the collaboration between public authorities and enterprises? What are the most common problems that they have encountered so far? And if they have any ideas of possible solutions as well.
See, all of the microphones are broken.
No one of the panelists has anything to say? Perhaps Alexander? Alexander, are you still here? No.
I can see him connected to the call.
Perhaps he cannot hear us. But please, guys, you can write in the chat. So any ideas, any contributions, you can write in the chat.
I'm not sure if they can write in the chat or
No?
if that's just internal for.
No, Giacomo, you need to give people more access because we need to talk to them. In the roundtable discussion would be nice if everyone could participate.
Okay, I will assign the role as an expert to all of some of the participants that are willing to interact with us. I see now that Alexandra is connected with the phone, so I guess maybe he will be able to integrate his presentation talking about the green public procurements, as we said before.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
okay. I was able to hear you, but for some reasons you could not hear me anymore. But yeah, so I heard your question. I don't know if it's still time to answer it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the main obstacle that we see is really building a strong relationship with the procurement department, because as I said, for us, timing is not the same. A public entity versus let's say, innovative startup have different mindsets, and you have to find a balance between let's say the position in which the chief procurement officer is for the public entity, and our position, which is much more, let's say, try and error, and that's more appropriate for the private sector, because there people have less, let's say, administrative or yeah, let's say just internal political barrier to just go for, let's say, test or just buy for even 6 months. There we need to go through procedure, and then have legal advisors, and then wait for 3 months, and etc. etc. And this is really time consuming, and this can, let's say, raise some concerns, or let's say reluctancies to start that process, because you know that it will take very long. And we got quite, I would say, lucky with the TC, because these people simply trusted in our technology and wanted to give us our chance, no matter what difficulties may pop up in the course of the procedure. So I would say this is the main barrier for us.
I see. So, and the solution that you have found is to establish a long-term collaboration with an authority, so that for future collaborations is the bureaucratic time and procedures will be less burdensome.
Yes, there are two ways that we are, let's say, lifting those barriers. First, we are taking the time to comply with any request from the client, and that's much more than private sector. And second, maybe even more important, is that we are using third parties. So we are working with the universities, so that when we are running a test, it's not just our own words or the client's expertise, which may be lacking. Not anyone is obviously an expert in fuel and fuel measurement. So working with university labs is really helping a lot for us.
I see. Okay. So yeah, I see. Thank you. That's
very. And
at
maybe one last thing is that at the political level, we are also.
Just anything you want to tell us, we are interested. So.
Yeah, I was just adding that at the political level, this is also, let's say, helping, because we are meeting with deputies who are helping us. So right now, we have one deputy at the Brussels Parliament who has prepared a question for the Minister of Mobility, just to say, okay, how things are going, because we know that the technology, and we see that they are doing progress, and still in some organizations, for some reasons, it's not moving fast enough. So what can we do? And that's really helping.
That's very interesting. Thank you. That's because usually in our experience, the technological support to the public authorities was provided mainly by the enterprises carrying out the technologies. But now this is a new element, the collaboration with a third party that is providing some kind of certificate or assessment about the technology. Okay, that is interesting. Thank you.
That's what we did also in logistics. We worked with Lean and Green, which is a European program to help logistics operators be greener. And yes, they worked with us for, I would say, 2 years, just discussing, reviewing the papers, reviewing the tests, reviewing the technology. And now this is really easing the path, easing the way for decision makers.
I wanted to add that as part of our project, we have energy consultants whose main business is to assess the life cycle impact of the technologies that are used within public procurement. So this is another kind of tool that we will be providing. So this assessment of the environmental impact. So please contact us if you are interested. We'll be putting more information online in the next couple of months because we are working on it. So as part of the matchmaking tool, the more advanced one that we'll have, will be doing a basic assessment of the environmental impact of the technologies. And obviously, if the parties are interested, we will be able to perform a more detailed assessment of the environmental impact. So this could be easing some of these barriers that you were talking about as well. So
yeah, I think it's great. It's a good idea. We got the request several times of, okay, do you have a life cycle assessment, and yes, from whom is it? So I think, yeah, that's a very useful feature.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, we'll be putting more details online very soon. We are actually working on it. One of the main partners, eAmbiente, their main business is to perform life cycle assessment, and with the support of some other partners that are energy consultants as well, and my support, will be able to help both the enterprises and the local authorities to have a kind of formal assessment of the environmental impact of this technology. So will be one less barrier to deal with and to. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to tell us about their experience, the barriers, the problems that you guys have faced, have met when trying to collaborate with public authorities for performing, yes, when bidding for public tender? No? Nothing else? Or when is there anything in the chat? Any comments? Any suggestions by other people?
No, so far we don't have it. I'm checking, but no one is putting his hands up asking to be a speaker and so on. So I guess.
But do they have the means to contact you?
Yeah. They can write in the chat, but nobody is writing there. So.
Okay.
I guess I don't know. Maybe they were interested on the topic, but they are not so familiar because. Okay. I remember that during the pool launched by Miriam, there was someone that said that would like to be involved in public procurement in the future. So maybe they're simply attending just to discover something more about the topic.
Okay, I see. Okay, so the other question that I would like to ask the participants is how you guys think we could support policymakers and public procurers in performing more green public procurement? Joanna? Yes. Alexander again. Any ideas about the support for because
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one recurring question that we have is how do we embed new technologies in the criteria in our tenders? So they would like to, let's say, for the case of the heating system is quite relevant here, because, for example, you may have, let's say, a municipality or a city that is saying that they would like to promote that type of technology because that's more environmentally friendly, but they don't know really how to include that in their criteria, how to give a better score or to be more restrictive, but still not preventing from running the tender appropriately.
Okay, I see. So how to embed more environmental criteria. Yeah, I guess it's in the way they are writing their tenders, their tender documents. And again, we can help them in doing that. If they contact us through our portal, we'll be very happy to go through this. Because also the other thing is that we are in direct contact with the European Commission, the part of the European Commission who is specialized in this type of documents, and will be more than happy to be the direct channel for them in order to do that. Okay, that is very interesting. It's true that some of these public tenders documents, they can be very cumbersome, both from a legalistic and financial point of view. But yeah, that is very interesting too. Okay, very good. So any other ideas by the other participants? No? Okay. Okay, so again, we have already talked about innovation, introducing innovations through public procurement. And as I said, this is a feature that is still kind of new, and but the European Commission is investing a lot in order for this to happen and to become a standard, actually, standardized, actually. Alexander, Joanna, Diaz, anything else you would like to add at this point? Any other comments? When Giacomo, anything else you would like to add? Because I think we have already discussed the other main points as well. So I cannot hear you. You're muted.
From my side, I don't have anything myself to add. I would say, again, a huge thank you to all of the speakers who took the time to come today and share with us.
Thank you. It was very interesting to hear from all of you guys. And please do check our portal in the next month or so, because we'll be putting up more tools for matching the investment from the public authorities and the technologies offered by the enterprises. And also within the tool, we will have the facility of assessing the environmental impact of the technologies that are involved. Also, if there is anything we can help you guys with when participating in a public procurement context within renewable energy sources, please do contact us, because we'll be delighted to support you to go past some of these barriers. Or anything else, any other information?
Portal is XPRESS with no E at the beginning, just so you don't end up finding a lot of bus companies.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
Thanks very much to all of the speakers, Alexandra, Elise, Diego, and Giovanna.